Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome to all those in the room here at MTC in San Francisco, and many of you online participating today in our BayREN Regional Forum. And we're really excited today, I am personally too, to have a forum really talking about the grid. What is it? And should it shape policy for all electric buildings? And those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Demian Hardman-Saldana. I'm with the Contra Costa County Department of Conservation and Development. I'm also the BayREN rep for Contra Costa County, and I'm really excited to be here today. Today's forum is really going to, I hope, answer a lot of questions related to the grid and how it relates to all electric buildings. Now, next slide, please. All right. So before we get into all the details of today's forum, we do always like to talk about, what is BayREN for those who are not familiar with it and what the offerings are. So BayREN is a highly effective and trusted government organization for delivery of targeted, integrated, regional scale climate solutions that are focused on energy, water, and resiliency. Okay, BayREN has been around since 2013, so we've been around a long time, and we have all 9 barrier counties that work together collaboratively that establish kind of how BayREN operates, the programs that we offer, and everything that happens. We cover 20% of California's population, so all 9 counties, and we build capacity by providing and hosting services for programs for local governments. And one of our key things is we focus on solutions by building on experience and knowledge of local governments. And third, our overarching goal is to situate climate change and climate resiliency as drivers in its program. And finally, we couldn't do this without economic development and the opportunities for economic development as it relates to BayREN. Next slide. Okay, so one of the things here are all the programs that BayREN offers right now, and there's 6 of them. And that's the Single Family Home Plus program, which offers rebates for single family homes. We've got the Green Labeling program as well, which is supportive to the Home Plus program. And I should note that the Green Labeling program in the CPUC's decision is now allowing that to be a statewide run program, which is really exciting, and will be the first REN to do a statewide program for that as well. So if you want to learn more, go to bayren.org on that. And then we have a multifamily building program as well. And we also have our BayREN business program. We also have a water upgrade saves program. And today's forum is brought to you by our Codes and Standards team. Next slide. Okay, so the Codes and Standards program has 2 main areas of focus: compliance improvement, that looks at areas for improvement in code enforcement processes and policy, where we share best practices and develop regional resources for doing things like reach codes. Next slide. All right, in addition to that, there are many energy code trainings available for building department staff, both on demand and live in person. Like today, we're doing kind of a hybrid thing, right? We have 2 upcoming sessions, and you'll see that on the slides there, in June and in July. Next slide. We also offer municipal zero net energy and zero net carbon technical assistance. So if you're a municipal organization and you're looking at how your buildings can get to ZNE or ZNC, we have resources that can help with that. All right, next slide. Before we get started with our speakers and the rest of our agenda, we do like to go over our Zoom how-tos. So those of you who are not so familiar with Zoom, but hopefully you are by now, we'll go over some of this. Notice that your video camera is not needed. And then if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature if you have questions for speakers or about the forum itself. try not to use the chat for questions. We may not get to you on that. Next slide. And this is a little bit self-explanatory on what I just discussed. So that shows that if you want to speak, please use the raise hand feature. And then our disclaimer on the next slide there. And the views expressed in these presentations are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the position of the Association of Bay Area Governments, the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, or the jurisdictions that BayREN represents. Any questions pertaining to the views and information in the presentation should be directed to the authors. Next slide. All right, so as we always get, hey, will the presentation materials be available after? Yes, always. And there's the link for it. If you go to bayren.org/events-training, you'll find that there. Next slide. All right, so the exciting part, what are we going to do? We just did an introduction to BayREN, what is BayREN, and about the forum. The next part of our presentation shortly is going to be on the local government approaches to concerns about the grid. So you're going to get a presentation from myself to get started, and two other of my colleagues in the BayREN region on this stuff related to the grid. We'll have a short Q&A after that. And then we'll have a 10-minute break. And then we're going to have a great presentation from one of our experts in the field, Peter Turnbull, and on the electric grid fundamentals. And then we're also going to get information specific with presentations from the California Energy Commission and PG&E as well. So I'm really excited to have them. And then we'll have Q&A and closing remarks. All right, next slide. Okay, so for those that are on Zoom, that are our BayREN County reps, one of the things that all of you may not know is that each county has a representative for BayREN, and there's going to be some that are on Zoom right now, and there's going to be some in person. For those in person right now, if you can line up out the front here, that would be great to get started. But I want to acknowledge all the county BayREN reps that are on Zoom first, and please have them introduce themselves. And if Kellen Demian is online, if he could introduce himself and we'll start with him in Marin County.
Hi, everybody. And Demian, do you want us to do our forum question too?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
So I appreciate that. So one thing we always do with the 9 county reps is that we do a forum question, and it's kind of cool. It's related to our event today. And the question for each of the 9 counties is, have you encountered questions about the grid when working on electrification programs or policy? So Kellen.
Great. Thanks, Demian. Hi, everybody. My name is Kellen Demian. I work with the County Marin. I'm a program coordinator for the sustainability team and BayREN rep for Marin. And yes, we definitely do get questions about the grid when we talk to different stakeholders and residents about electrification. I think a lot of the counties are going to share similar stories, but one of the main things I hear about is can the grid actually handle all these different buildings switching over to electric? And then, of course, we get questions about costs and panel capacity for individual homes. So with that, I'll pass it along. Thanks for everybody for being here.
Thank you very much, Kellen. And the next person I'd like to invite is from Solano County. That's Nandi. Nandi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everybody. I am from Solano Economic Development Corporation, but I am a Solano County rep for BayREN. I actually get this question very often. I am the secretary for the International Codes Council, which stands for, the acronym is ICC. I'm for the Napa Solano chapter. Actually, at our last meeting, we had a presentation on electrification by Veller. The common question from the chief building and building inspectors was, does the grid have the capacity to handle the new codes geared towards electrification that we are being asked to embrace? So that was my question that I had very often.
Great, thank you, Nandi. Really appreciate that. The next county rep I'd like to invite is Alero from San Mateo County.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Alero. I'm with San Mateo County. I'm a sustainability specialist, and I am our BayREN representative. And I really took this question super literally. I personally haven't been asked questions about the grid, but I've been in spaces where people question or comment on grid capacity and grid reliability. And although I haven't been equipped to try to solve or answer questions about the grid, I am empowered to share stakeholders' comments and concerns about grid capacity and reliability. So that's what I have done.
Wonderful, thank you, Alero. And next one I'd like to invite is Christine from Sonoma County. Oh, Christine, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Thanks. That's what I say at every meeting. I'm an energy and sustainability analyst for the County of Sonoma in the Climate Action and Resiliency Division, and I'm the Sonoma County rep for BayREN Codes and Standards. And we work on at a lot of different levels with the public here in Sonoma County: educational programs, contractors, building officials, local government staff. And so pretty much every day, people ask me a question about grid reliability and capacity and electrification, specifically concerning last summer's rolling outage warnings and outages in the past, and how can the grid keep up with the increased demand from electrification of buildings and transportation. And then there's also the question about resilience during extended outages and public safety power shutoffs, and folks who traditionally could use gas equipment to cook or heat water. There's a concern about that too. So thanks for the question.
Great, thank you so much, Christine. And the next person I'd like to invite is Emily from Alameda County Stop Waste.
Hi, my name is Emily Alvarez. I'm a program manager with Stop Waste. Stop Waste is our BayREN Alameda County representative. I get asked a lot about prices for electricity and consumers wondering if electrification is going to make their bills go up. And that doesn't necessarily seem like a grid question on the surface, but the response on how we can keep electrification affordable is a grid question, because we can use things like demand response or load shifting devices, since we know that with time of use rates, if we don't have a smart grid, then we will have people paying more for electrification.
Great, thank you, Emily. And I will now transition to in the room here, and we have Ryan from Napa County. Ryan.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I'm Ryan Melendez. I am new to Napa County, but I am the sustainability planner within the Planning, Building, and Environmental Services Department there. And I'm the sole BayREN rep for Napa County, doing all things BayREN, including codes and standards. And a big concern, kind of mimicking Christine's comments, being Sonoma's neighbor and a big fire region, big concern that we get is the reliability during these planned safety shutoffs, and how people can continue utilizing their appliances during these uncertain times where the grid is shut off to heat their water, to cook their food, and so on. And then also another big question that we get is the implications of solar systems that are in rooftop solar systems and battery backups, and how that will have an effect and how that will play with the grid as well. So.
Great, thanks, Ryan. And next is Brianne.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brianne Boyle. I work for the County of Santa Clara in the Office of Sustainability. I'm a senior management analyst, and I'm the BayREN Codes and Standards rep for Santa Clara County. I've heard a lot of concerns about the grid during outreach for our climate action plan, the development of the county's climate action plan. So from residents, specifically some concerns I've heard are around PG&E's ability to manage our current power load, the need to invest in better infrastructure for our grid, and the need for backup power to support essential buildings or essential equipment during scheduled PSPS events. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Barry Hooper. I'm a senior green building coordinator with the City and County of San Francisco. And we definitely, in working with stakeholders, get questions about grid reliability. It's frequently questions tend to be localized to particular areas of the city. And a lot of times those questions have been ameliorated a lot by recognizing the difference between what can happen in the short term and the long term. But definitely it's a great thing to learn more about, and I'm looking forward to this morning's forum.
Great, thank you, Barry. And I'll go ahead and go next before I get Karen going from MTC ABAG. My name's Demian Hardman-Saldana. I am the county rep for Contra, Costa County. Well, the big question that came up when it comes to the grid is what is the state doing about it? And part of the reason I kind of took the lead of this forum was to get answers from the state on it. And so we're excited to be here today to find out more about how the state is planning the grid and how they're addressing it. So, and I'll pass it to Karen.
Great, thank you all. I'm Karen Christensen. I work at ABAG MTC, and I manage the Codes and Standards program for BayREN. So I'm not going to take your time, very much of your time, but wanted to do a quick, switching slightly, quick public service announcement for those of you in the room. Please help yourself to the bagels and muffins and coffee and tea and water. And the bathrooms are out the door to the right and to the right. So those important things you need to know. And thank you all for coming in person or online. So with that, we'll kick it off.
Thank you for the logistics of the room. Often when we do a hybrid meeting, it's hard for me to facilitate what the needs are in the room as well as online. So I appreciate that. All right, next slide. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get us started in terms of the grid and the context of the grid and what's kind of the next part of our panel. So as part of our panel, what we're really going to be talking about is what local governments are doing to address this grid question that comes up. As you can hear from a lot of the county representatives, there's a lot of the same questions and issues coming up. And it was kind of one of those things where we often try not to have the same question with each county rep when we plan these forums, but it was hard to kind of, or have the same answer to these questions, I should say. So there are a lot of issues regarding, what the perception is from the public when we're talking about all electric policy. And so the next part, I'm going to do a presentation of what kind of how we look at it at the county, for my county and Contra Costa County, and then we're going to have a presentation from 2 other local governments that are going to talk about how they're addressing it and what their approach is. So